Did you know April is Autism Acceptance Month, and this month we are dedicating our time and resources to spreading awareness and acceptance of autistic individuals and their families?
And today we are going to give you 5 tips for your autistic child.
Just a quick reminder, we are doing a free live webinar all about sensory strategies in the classroom on April 16th at 1 p.m. Mountain Standard Time.
This webinar is designed for parents, therapists, teachers, anyone working with students in the classroom.
You don't want to miss this because we are doing a live Q&A at the end, and this is our all-time favorite part of doing these live webinars.
You'll also get some freebies when you register, and if you can't make it to the live, register anyways because you will be emailed the recording and all of the free handouts afterwards.
Plus, if you are an OT practitioner, you will earn AOTA CEUs after completing your post-test.
All right, we will include the link below so you can register now.
See you then. Hi there, I'm Rachel.
And I'm Jessica. We are the Certified Occupational Therapy Assistants at Harkla. And today we're really excited to give you some tips, some tricks, some tools. If you are raising an autistic child, if you are a therapist, teacher, whoever you are, we're here to help you and give you some ideas on how to maybe help.
Now, first things first, because autism is so unique and there's so many variations and so many levels, keep in mind a lot of these tips may not work in your situation. You may have to adapt them, but these are just general tips that we have provided our clients in the past and present, and these are things that have worked for certain clients. They have worked for a variety of adults as well, so take them and use them if they are beneficial and you want to give them a shot.
Tip number 1 is to create an individualized sensory diet routine. We love talking about sensory diets, sensory activities, sensory strategies, and the trick with a sensory diet routine is to individualize it to the person. So if you have an autistic child, what you want to do is identify the sensory activities that they seek out, that they love to do, and incorporate those into the daily routine on a regular basis, because those sensory activities are going to support your child's sensory needs. So if they love to jump, if they love to run, if they love to swing, those are the activities you want to help your child complete several times throughout the day.
Now, we want to make sure that we are implementing these sensory strategies proactively instead of reactively. Now, we know as many as 80 to 90% of autistic individuals also struggle with sensory processing challenges, so there is a high chance that your child or even your own autistic brain needs more sensory input or is avoiding sensory input. So that's why we like to provide these strategies proactively. So we like to offer sensory breaks throughout the day. Sensory strategies, more heavy work, chewing gum, fidget, sensory breaks. We like to provide those consistently throughout the day in order to potentially and hopefully avoid some of those sensory meltdowns.
Now, we do have a free sensory diet webinar that is a really great place to get started if you're new to sensory diets. And then we also have a full digital course that really teaches you in depth, step-by-step, how to create a sensory diet routine. So if you are looking for more information on how to do this for your child, those would be the next steps, and we will link them below.
Now, tip number 2 is to use visuals. We love visuals. We use visual aids throughout the day for almost all of our clients. So this could be breaking down the morning routine. This could be breaking down a task like brushing the teeth into tiny little tasks in order to help them sequence those steps. This can be a to-do list, writing down all of the things that we need to do every day. This can be a calendar so we can see what's expected and what's happening during the week. Anytime we can provide those visuals so that way the child knows what's expected during the day, we can talk about some of that flexibility with changes in routines, like, hey, this is what our day looks like, but just so you know, these 2 items may get switched. We might have to be a little bit of a flexible thinker in order to be okay with some of these schedule changes, but for the most part, this is what our day-to-day routine looks like.
Another visual tip that I like to give my clients is to use pictures of the main caregivers and the main therapists, teachers, who this child is working with and seeing on a regular basis, and adding those onto the visual schedule so that the child knows who they're going to be seeing, who they're going to be working with, and again, having some flexibility if that does change by taking the pictures off and saying, we're not going to see Jessica today, but we're still gonna go to OT and we're gonna work with someone else. And really that does provide a sense of stability for the child. So visuals are huge.
Yes, and then one more visual tool that we love are visual timers. Whether it's a sand timer, whether it's a countdown timer, we love this countdown app that has like a visual that counts down, and then when the timer is all done, then there's a picture that shows up. There's timers with lights, there's timers of all shapes and sizes. The time timer is another great option we love. We'll link some in the description of this video if you're interested, but using a visual timer to help with those transitions or to help just with setting limits, that is a really helpful visual tool.
Yes. Tip number 3 is to create a sensory corner, a calm down corner, just some sort of space in the home that is designated for your child that they can go there, they can decompress, it's their space and it's there all the time. Oftentimes we like to dedicate maybe a closet or a pop-up tent somewhere in the home, and you can fill this space with your child's favorite sensory tools. Pillows, weighted items, noise canceling headphones, some fidget tools, anything that they can use to decompress. And if they're having a meltdown, they can use this to help with their meltdown and just help re-regulate their nervous system. This is really an essential piece in emotional regulation for your child.
Now the key with these calm down corners is to teach them how to use it when they are calm and regulated, instead of when they get home from school and they're over the top, they're overstimulated, they're dysregulated. Go to your calm down corner and figure it out. No, that's not going to be helpful. We want to make sure that when they are calm and regulated, we teach them how to use it. We provide visuals. We can put pictures of them using the tools in the calm down corner. We can hang them on the wall so they can see what they do with the different items and how to use it, and they can understand and remember what it looks like to be using the calm down corner when they are regulated. Then they'll know how to carry that skill over and generalize it for when they are dysregulated.
Yeah, and the other thing is to make sure we're not using this calm down corner as a punishment or some sort of negative association for their behaviors that they're having. We want it to be a positive experience, a positive place for them. So like Rachel mentioned, when you guys are maybe role playing and practicing using the calm down corner, it's not a here's where you go when you need to calm down. It's more, this is your space to take a break. This is your space when you're feeling upset or angry, and you can go in here and you can use your tools to help feel better. So we want to make it more positive so that they can use it in a more positive way.
Yes. All right, next tip is to integrate primitive reflexes. Now, as many as 80 to 90% of autistic individuals have at least one retained primitive reflex that is impacting their ability to get through their daily routines. So if that is the case and you want to make sure that you are assessing for these retained primitive reflexes, and then you are starting on an integration protocol, because integrating primitive reflexes helps to build that strong foundation of the pyramid of learning, and we want to make sure that we have that strong foundation so there aren't any of those missing building blocks as we're working on developing some of those skills in order for them to be able to achieve those daily occupations and be able to participate in their routine. So integrating primitive reflexes is a key component to helping autistic individuals.
And if you're like, what the heck are primitive reflexes? We do have more resources for you. We have some more videos. We have our free webinar. We do have a full-length digital course that teaches you everything about primitive reflexes. So we will link some of those down below this video so you can go look at them, watch them, and learn more.
Now, the last tip we're going to leave you with today, but definitely not the least, is to work on nutrition and to focus on that holistic approach from the inside out. So working with a functional nutrition practitioner, a dietitian, someone who is trained in nutrition specifically as it relates to autism can be really beneficial. Reducing things like food dyes and processed foods, which I know is easier said than done, but even just starting with food dyes, removing those from the diet, they're in medications, they're everywhere. If you haven't watched the documentary To Die For, it is highly recommended. We'll link that in the description as well.
This can be one of the more difficult things that we recommend to our clients that we're recommending here, because, you know, food is just, it's something we experience and interact with all day, every day. And so changing that part of your child's routine, especially if they are struggling with flexibility and trying new foods, this can be the most difficult thing that we recommend. So Do the other ones if they resonate with you, if they seem a little bit easier, start there. Come back to this one later when you feel ready and work with a professional, like Rachel mentioned, a functional nutritionist, functional medicine practitioner, somebody who can really help you tailor what you need to do to your child specifically.
Yep, if these tips were helpful, if you found them to be, useful and something that you're gonna try to implement, definitely give this video a like, a thumbs up, and make sure you're subscribed as well.
Also share this video with somebody else if you think someone else might find this helpful.
We do have more resources on our podcast if you're interested in learning more about sensory and primitive reflexes and just all the things that we talked about just in a longer form of video content. And listen to our podcast. It's on YouTube, it's on Spotify, it's on all major podcast platforms. It's All Things Sensory by Harkla.
And then make sure you're following us on Instagram. We're at Harkla_family as well as at All Things Sensory Podcast.
And with that, we'll plan on seeing you next week for another video.
Okay, bye. You can feel the windmill.
I just talk and talk.
That's your job. It's your job to talk.